I got two different Glazier Gamble signs today. One
Oh my
is
God.
one is white, and one you could say is void.
Okay. I wasn't sure today if I wanted to sing the "We Can't Build This Place Together," like, because that's what was in the trailer, or if I wanted to be like thunder in the thunder, lightning in the thunder.
Right.
But one of those songs is actually good, so I felt like actually we can build this because that's actually good. Um, but the Imagine Dragons one's terrible. So I was like, I probably don't want to go with that one. But it's Thunderbolts. So I was like, I have to have thunder in it, right? Thunder. Yeah, that's a.
Yeah.
That's good. Good idea. Yeah, that's good.
In the middle of a no town. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's. Welcome everybody. This is the Glazier Gamble podcast. For those of you who are new, we speak nonsense about Marvel and superhero things, DC,
Coming up.
The Boys, Arcane, but mainly, superheroes, Marvel, DC. But soon, Thunderbolts, Captain America. We're going to do a Captain America movie review coming up. So this episode is about the Thunderbolts trailer. But continuing with the nonsense that we've currently started with, the music from the trailer, okay? Stick with me. Feels Deadpool-y. You know how
Sure.
like Deadpool is kind of made... It definitely feels like a let's beat a dead horse until it's successful because
Sure.
this worked for Deadpool. But
Right.
it went with a different version of a popular song that's not really about a serious thing, set to fighting and killing and
Sure.
yeah, and so it like felt off pace, but you kind of like are laughing along with it, but also still feeling the emotions. So I don't know if that's them like taking a tip from Deadpool and being like, this works, we're gonna go with it, or if that's them going like, oh, that worked, let's overdo it, and like, so
Right.
I'm
We need to make
interested.
this work with our project, kind of.
Right.
Thing.
So
Sure.
it makes me have high hopes. Like, okay, we're taking tips, we're figuring out what people like without maybe overdoing it, considering that's what they've said. Like, oh, we're gonna take it slow. We're not gonna force things down your throat. We're going to actually do things right. So maybe this is a good little direction.
Little diversion.
Yeah.
Sure.
But there's been a couple things that I've seen about this movie coming out that makes me feel good. We have some people saying that the marketing for the movie is doing really good because they're not giving away really anything to do with it,
except the fact that Taskmaster is in literally none of the show for like a little snippet.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's the fact we just haven't been.
Taskmaster's gonna be fine. She's gonna survive the entire movie.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally going to be totally fine. Has definitely not only been shown in a couple portions, but outside of giving away like the whole movie, like a lot of trailers do, kind of just teasing us, giving us a little bit. What I really like so far has been we've mentioned in a couple episodes that Marvel has kind of realized, especially with like Daredevil and other things coming out with the trailer for Fantastic Four, a focus on story versus herder action scene go burr. We love this. And like actually going back to, like Iron Man in the cave, building the suit and creating a connection to a character before throwing them in to herder action. There we go.
Sure.
Monkey brain feel happy. I think the fact
which in some fans are going to hate to hear this, but that is Deadpool.
Right, that is Deadpool. Yeah.
Like that is Deadpool. Like the story, you can say that Deadpool's story was good. Like and obviously you bring in someone like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but the story had zero implications on the MCU.
Yeah. Yep.
like in the grand scheme of things. Like it brought in the TVA, which the TVA is kind of this overarching entity that exists in the MCU,
Right.
That's MCU adjacent, I guess, with all the other universes. But it didn't impact the MCU at all, and essentially it was herder action the
And
entire
right,
time.
and because
So
of where they like didn't really go anywhere with the story, it was genuinely about like they were not going to do anything further with these characters like Cable and all that. So it's like, yeah, it's really just herder action.
right,
But I think so. Obviously, they were building connection with the Thing and Fantastic Four, and they're showing Reed, and there's all these like cool connections, and like story, at least hinting that we can see for now. Even Captain America coming out, I think that's where it's kind of the downfalls. Captain America, we've learned so much about the character that it's hard for them to build more of the story since they've had the show. He's been in so many movies. I hope they do a really good job in that it's not
yeah,
just
and
fight
this
Red
and this
Hulk.
one has gone through so many reshoots that I'm sure the original plan has been changed a good multitude of times. Especially this one has gone through so many that we know about.
Right.
And so you have to almost take this coming movie with a grain of salt. And then the movie following it, Thunderbolts, has also gone through a little bit too. So, yeah, I think Captain America, the one we do probably next week, will be very non-judgy because we know that it is kind of it's changed a lot. But with Thunderbolts, like there's been a little bit of change. I know there was the casting difference between like Steven Yin and then the new guy playing Sentry and
Sentry,
stuff.
yeah.
So it changed a little bit, but like it's still gonna be. I'm very excited for it as well.
Yeah, and it's, you know, one thing we really like to do on this show is toot our own horn. And a couple things have been tooted with what's going on with these movies, where we talked about how Captain America feels like Hulk, where people say Iron Man is the start of the MCU, but really it was Hulk.
Yeah.
This Captain America almost feels like a throwaway, where it's going to be the true start of this next iteration 2.0 MCU. But really, Fantastic Four and beyond is going to feel like the start. And
Right.
that's probably going to be what people often consider the start, but really it is this Captain America, Thunderbolts, Daredevil. But the other thing is with this Thunderbolts, they made it very clear that the premise of this movie, the whole point, is a bunch of nobodies, non-superheroes fighting Sentry, who
Right.
is like the OP of the OP. We've talked about this before. World War Hulk, when Hulk is going absolutely bananas and just unstoppable. The entire Avengers can't stop him. The Inhumans can't stop him. He imprisons Doctor Strange and a bunch of people. Sentry stops that version of Hulk by
Yeah,
himself.
eventually that Hulk gets strong enough where like magic doesn't matter against him. Like
Right.
you can't use like telepathy and stuff and get inside of his head because he's too rage filled.
So then their solution is Sentry by himself, and that's what stops him. Like that's how powerful Sentry is, which we've had characters in the past. Obviously their power levels will vary based on the comics. You know, Scarlet Witch is
Adam
not
Warlock.
right. Yeah, I was definitely going to get to that for sure. Adam Warlock is like that level where he doesn't.
Adam Warlock stopped the Infinity Saga.
He is not that powerful in the movies, but in the comics, he is insane. Like, absolutely insane. Scarlet Witch is not nearly as powerful as she is in the movies. In the comics, they boosted her huge.
This our version's a Nexus being for sure.
Yeah, Echo is way stronger in the show versus the comics.
Right.
She actually gets powers in the show versus the comics where she doesn't really have any. And then now, so like Sentry, if he is comic level power, very much like they make it seem in the trailer, it's going to feel the whole time like,
Yeah,
how are
dude.
we supposed to do anything? Like Sentry stands
When the
with
void takes over. Yeah.
yeah, stands with confidence. Like, you're not gonna stop us. You're not gonna stop me. You're just people. You're just. They say we're not. Yelena says we're not
We can't even
super.
fly. Yeah.
Right.
We can't fly. Yeah.
None of us are heroes. Which they're being portrayed as like all of these are the ragtag, down and out nobodies of the.
Yeah, and Valentina kind of arranged them all to show up and hopefully kill each other, but also try to kill Sentry at the same
Right.
time.
Like
That's what it seems like.
John is a fallen Captain America.
Right.
Bucky is the former Winter Soldier.
Bucky probably working for the government because he is trying to stop them at some point. So I think he's the good part. Like, he's working for the government at this point.
Yelena's a former Black Widow. You got the Red Guardian,
super soldier, along with John Walker.
So they've a lot of them have super speeds or fairly, they're faster reactions, stronger people.
You've got 2 widows essentially with Taskmaster too,
and then Ghost has some ability.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it's like 3 super soldiers, couple Black
2
Widows,
and Ghost.
Yeah. I think it's kind of cool that the idea of them not being able to stop him makes you have no idea where it's gonna go.
Right. Like, you almost get that a little bit with Captain America too, because like in no way, shape, or form should Sam Wilson be able to beat Red Hulk. So it's going to be interesting.
And I love that. I think that's one of the my favorite things about this coming out is we don't know.
And how is the Fantastic Four going to stop Galactus? Like you're right. Like the villain, the stakes seem high enough where the villain can win.
Right, which is what we've been wanting for so much. Like, Kingpin is awesome, but Kingpin feels beatable.
Yeah.
Galactus feels like you might not. That's part of what made Eternals so cool. Is like once the Celestials came in, you were like, there's zero chance they can fix this. And then Cersei goes nuts, but like
Cersei goes burr.
I feel like what's so cool is that not only is it this ragtag, which is there's our toot and horn, is we said that how do you beat Sentry? It's going to be, the premise of it is going to be non-heroes beating this incredibly powerful being. And if you want to check that out, we do have a former video on Thunderbolts. We have a couple, including one where we talk about Steven Yeun and go into detail about how excited we are and how he's the best and he's going to be the best Sentry. And then
that didn't happen.
Yeah. We have a separate video on that about when he was removed.
Just bring Steven Yeun back as Mr. Negative and let's call it a day.
Yeah.
But
while we are excited about various parts of this trailer and what's coming out here, another thing on the internet that we've seen, another thing that we've seen from people all over, heard from people that we get to talk to, the people getting splatted onto the ground.
Yeah, with the void. Yeah. Just splatted into a shadow is insane.
Yeah, and I think it's super fun to see people go, so what do you do here?
Yeah.
Like, what do you, when somebody can just hold their hand out and you turn into a shadow on the ground, you turn into a scorch mark.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do?
It's so diabolical, it looks cartoony.
Yeah.
Like it's something that would happen in a cartoon. Like but it's real life. Because like it's happening. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's crazy.
Right. And it's clearly like innocents getting hurt, which always like adds to the stake. It's very much what makes the boys so intense is, Homelander turns on the innocents.
Yeah.
They're either going to have to come up with some sort of technology.
There's the good Sentry. Like Sentry's
Sentry's
unstable.
not evil.
he's confused a
Yeah.
lot of the times. But the Void is the one they have to, beat. Is like the Void is the part they have to beat there. So how do they beat the Void? And that's the question. Probably through the power of friendship is my guess.
Yeah, or Vin Diesel can come in and bring family in.
Right.
Do you have any predictions of how they're going to do it? Because I think it's just going to be some sort of technology that turns Sentry good, and then Sentry's
the
a part of
thing,
the MCU.
I don't think necessarily they'll I don't know if it'll be technology. I think that it will be Bob, right? Like Bob something. Burt
B.O.B. the
Reynolds.
rapper, you mean?
Yeah. So Bob, I think he will realize that it was Valentina that was doing all of this experimenting and stuff like that on him, and I think that's how you get him to switch.
I forgot it keeps going.
That's I think that's how you get him to switch. Is I think he realizes that it's Valentina the entire time. Like Valentina doesn't want any of those Thunderbolts to be alive because they're the ones that are holding him back.
You said the word. The Thunderbolts.
Yeah, any one of them are kind of in her way. And so I think if you get rid of them, then she can kind of act how she wants to act. And she would have the Sentry as like her undeniable kind of enforcer.
Sure.
Where she can get what she wants. I think that's the whole that in my opinion, that's probably what's going on. And I think Sentry just got too strong. And so she's trying to be like, well, let's get him while he's not this strong and send all these ragtag crew after him. The only one that doesn't make sense to me is Ghost. Like, I don't think Ghost is there specifically for. Like, Ghost has to be there for her own reasoning. Like, John Walker, like, Red Guardian is there. Red Guardian is there with Yelena. John Walker's there because of Valentina. Yelena could be there because of Valentina, and she just goes and gets Red Guardian to help her. So, like, those three are through Valentina, essentially. Bucky's probably there because there's bad stuff going on, and he's trying to figure out why. I don't know why Taskmaster would be there, and then I don't know why Ghost would be there. So it's like, I don't know. You got to see. It's all going to come together, like in the movie. Like, it'll all make sense why all these pieces are together. But Valentina's behind more than we think. I think so.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, she's got to play a bigger part considering what they've had her do throughout the MCU, just being kind of like a darker Nick Fury style person.
Yeah, and I think Norman Osborn in the comics starts the Dark Avengers, with like Ares and I think it's like Daken I think that's Wolverine's clone.
Yeah.
Wolverine's like clone. Ares like Quicksilver, not Quicksilver, Bullseye. I mean, like they're all part of that like Dark Avengers group, Iron Patriot, stuff like that. So I think Valentina could take that approach too.
Yeah.
So she constructs the Thunderbolts, or maybe they construct the Thunderbolts separately. But then, like, I think she could also in the future be the one that creates the Dark Avengers as well, and that brings that directly ties to Sentry too, because Sentry rips Ares in half. So that's kind of how I see it going. Because like I don't think they could do Norman Osborn and do that storyline, but if they wanted to do the Dark Avengers, they could do it like that. So,
which since you mentioned that, part of the trailer does reveal that the Avengers Tower has a new owner,
right?
Which
all kind of coming together too. Like, I mean,
yeah, which is Valentina herself.
Yeah, so it's owned by the CIA, I would assume. It's owned by the CIA. So
I So maybe I misread it earlier then, but when I was reading an article about the like a breakdown of the trailer, it said that Valentina's new headquarters, she is now running the headquarters, which is the former Avengers Tower.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, she's the head of the CIA, so it's like that's probably the CIA. They got Avengers Tower. Probably they'll either find the secrets, or I mean, they got secrets of their own if they're holding Sentry somewhere in a
Hey,
compound. You know what I mean?
hey,
So
the government doesn't keep secrets. All
you're
right.
right.
The government doesn't keep secrets. They do everything correct by the book. There's just we don't have to worry about it. Okay, it's fine.
Right. I know.
Please, everything's okay. But yeah, I think she does play a larger role, like you stated. I think she will be playing a bigger role, which is why she has kind of a short moment in the trailer. I think because
she didn't even mind when they all rolled up.
Yeah,
like she did not care. She let him up, and she's like having a drink, and like,
and I think she's
and
going
Taskmaster
to.
wasn't there. So
Taskmaster was not there at that moment. I think that she's gonna know, or like she's, because of her position and her main contribution to the plot. I think that in order to keep the fans in the dark and not give everything away, that is why she hasn't been shown much, because she will be that important.
right.
It does seem like Yelena is kind of a heavy focus.
With the leader. Yeah, she's the leader of this.
She's
Bucky's going to be a big part too. Like,
yeah, dishwashing his arm.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was so weird.
Yeah.
Like, he just pulls his arm out of the dishwasher. Like, that's really how you clean it? It's dishwasher?
It's funny.
Sentry stops his punch with a bare hand.
Yeah.
And then rips his arm off. Like, I feel like people right now, they're freaking out about the shadow, the void thing. Like,
I mean, that's the gift that's kind of running over. But
the fact that he has so many more abilities that they haven't touched on, and they haven't really, like, yeah, he ripped his arm off. He could have just crumpled the arm, probably.
Yeah.
Like, he's so strong.
He could have threw Bucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: Bucky could dent Captain America's shield.
Yeah,
pretty sure he has. So like, that's a lot of force behind that.
Yeah. So there's a couple more things from the trailer that I thought were like pretty telling, which goes along with ripping the arm off. So there's a moment where
Taskmaster not being in it.
No, Taskmaster's going to be totally fine.
She's waiting by the car.
We can trust the government, and Taskmaster's going to live.
Right.
Even though the fans reacted really poorly, and they would probably like write her part out if no, she's going to be fine. But at one point, John Walker pushes this guy's like face along a wall, like scrapes it along a wall. Similar to Punisher, but instead of it being broken glass, it's just a brick wall, and they don't show blood on the wall, and like Punisher.
Yeah. But yeah, Punisher, fuck that guy. Punisher messed that dude Jigsaw up. Like, that's crazy.
I think they're trying to show that it is going to have violence, and that this is like a group of characters that are willing to do, like, it's not going to be like your typical heroes where a couple of these people might be willing to kill. I'm interested to see like where they decide to take that, because John looked like he was angry, out of control. We know he has the history of that.
Right. Yeah, he got not a corrupted batch of super soldier serum, but it wasn't the perfect super soldier serum that's in Bucky and Cap and Red Guardian. Like, it's not
right, which I'm sure they'll mention at some point to like egg each other on. And John has like reading articles in the trailer about how he was like fallen from grace.
Right.
So it's clearly going to be like an emotional background of each character and why they're not worthy of who they are.
Yeah, it's something Elena giving him a speech, or Bucky giving John Walker a speech. Like, listen, like exactly kind of like how Hawkeye gave Scarlet Witch when they were fighting Ultron. It's like you walk out that door, you're an Avenger, like something like that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see happening where it's like, dude, like we need to save these people. So it's like you walk out that door, like you come help us stop him. Like that's your that's your moment. Like
Right.
who cares what you did in
Valentina's
your
gonna
past? Like,
prey on that, while somebody like Yelena's gonna have a talk him out of it moment where so Valentina's gonna be like, yeah, this is in order to redeem yourself, you gotta help the government and you gotta save the world. When Yelena's gonna be like, the way to redeem yourself is be happy with yourself,
yeah.
which Red Guardian is
Yeah, and I could
seems
see him dying and giving an emotional speech too.
right,
Like,
exactly.
but Bucky would be like, dude, like you gotta. Who cares what you did? Like it's like we're on the same team now. And I think that's what kind of John Walker was always lacking is he's never been seen as an equal. And he always tried to get on that same level as people. And so like having Bucky say that to him, who's like essentially a perfect super soldier, I think could even like flip him too. So
And just from a let's break away from the story itself, from a movie making standpoint, the level of acting available in this movie. Obviously, if it was Steven Yeun, I'd absolutely be waiting in line already because
right.
he's the best. But like,
Yeah.
you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, you have Florence Pugh, you have David Harbour, like
Sebastian Stan.
you have, and even who's the guy that plays John Walker? What's his?
It's the Ego's
His son,
son.
Russell.
Yeah. Russell.
Oh,
Wyatt.
yeah, Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt Russell. Yeah.
They like he was such a good actor that you hated John Walker
Yeah.
in the show.
I loved his character. I loved US Agent. I thought he
Right.
played that perfect. Yeah.
The level of acting available in this movie, I feel like will overcome any downfall that it may have. It's just I know that's a lot to put on these people's shoulders, but that's kind of their job is to be good actors, and I feel like all of them are. I feel like part of my excitement, my high expectations is like Sebastian Stan's range is insane. Wyatt
Right.
Russell blew me away as U.S. agent. Florence
Right.
Pugh has never
Can do
had a
anything,
fail.
yeah.
She has the same believability and energy and likability in her IG lives as she does in her roles on
Right.
screen in like Midsummer and Black Widow. She's obviously
Oppenheimer.
she's insane.
Yeah.
And then you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's Seinfeld and Veep onto a
Yeah.
Marvel movie. Like,
Yeah, where you're playing a super serious character. That's the one issue I think I might have with this movie is like there's going to be humorous moments, probably come from like Red Guardian or like backhanded quips or something from like US Agent to Bucky to Yelena, stuff like that.
yeah.
But like with this movie being so seriously, like from like a tonal standpoint, like the small amounts of humor that are probably in it have to hit because it's going to feel out of place.
And I think that's
too.
why they did the soundtrack to the trailer, to show you that it will feel Deadpool like, where the sad moments you're going to feel sad. The Logan yelling at him in the car is going to feel heavy. They might do what they did in Deadpool, where they had complete silence, where the only added sound was wind outside the car so that it felt like a genuine awkward silent scene.
Sure.
I feel like they're going to pull that in Thunderbolts. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are scenes in which Sentry is absolutely going nuts that have a large level of silence to them. And then when the humor comes in, it has to do with the sound quality and quips at each other, where it's
Sure.
kind of barbed humor. I really kind of expect that as well. I think the more that comes out about this movie, the more positive I get about it, which is cool because when the announcement that the Thunderbolts was going to be a thing, nobody wanted it.
Yeah.
And like obviously there's
Well, because I think
outliers or people that do it.
lineup wasn't the lineup, we were concerned about the lineup. You know, like you think Baron Zemo and like Abomination. Like we think of the lineup after it's first announced, not knowing who's who, and then we realized, okay, we're just getting 3 super soldiers, 2 widows, and Ghost. Like we're getting a lot of the same similar characters. Whereas I think we wanted this more diverse lineup.
Yeah.
But I think like what you see in Guardians 3, like the lineup changed by the end of it.
Yeah.
And so I think you could get a little bit of that too, depending on if they continue with this like Thunderbolts group.
In our previous video regarding the Thunderbolts, you mentioned that you think by the end of the movie, Sentry is going to be the leader of the Thunderbolts. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think Yelena's the face.
Right.
But I think that Sentry, like, you don't want to just one-off characters, and I think that's the problem that some Marvel movies have had. Is like there is some characters you can one-off, like Whiplash, right? Like Whiplash, you can one-off. It's very kind of a minor thing. But like you can't one-off Sentry, and Sentry doesn't necessarily have to be a villain, but like you've got to figure out his unstableness to make him a hero.
Kind of why they brought back Red Skull, because you couldn't just one-off Red Skull.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Yelena's still going to be the face of it. But, like, obviously, like, Sentry needs to have a huge part going forward.
Do you think there's going to be another bad outside of political villains?
I mean, obviously, they got to deal with the Sentry, right? Like, Void Sentry is going to be the main, like, not the overarching villain, but the main villain. Like I still think Valentina and the CIA and like the there's a reason she put them all together to stop the Sentry, and like she wants them to all kill each other. It's like how I understand it. I think they realize that, so like there's a reason they're hiding that. No, because I just think they're in the way.
Okay.
Like I think Sentry's too powerful. And she wants to be able to control him, but she realized she can't control him because the Void is controlling him. And then all these Thunderbolts like are just pawns to her to get to the king.
And there are probably a lot of like political loose ends. Like if you killed every member of the Thunderbolts, the U.S. government and the MCU has a lot less red tape and paperwork to worry about.
Right.
Like you have Bucky's history, you have Yelena's history, you've got Taskmaster, you got John Walker, you have a lot of people that are headaches for the U.S. government. I could totally believe that she just wants them gone.
Yeah.
Which, that's awkward, but
they're gonna realize that, I think, too. So
they'll have to.
I think
at some point.
I think you're gonna have. I don't know if necessarily Bucky, like U.S. Agent Yelena, Bucky, and Sentry. I mean, you can see those 4 Ghosts maybe too.
Yeah.
But Taskmaster and Red Guardian, I think, are probably the most expendable.
I think so as well. Both for fan favoritism and like you can have Yelena and Red Guardian kind of patch things up, have their moment, and then it hits harder when Red Guardian dies.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait. I think every moment that has led up to this to Thunderbolts has been nothing but positive, except for when they cut out Steven Yeun. But even then, that wasn't because of him disliking the role or anything like that. That was purely a scheduling conflict. So it's not like, because if he still has faith in the role, that means the role is still going to be a good character to watch on screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot different when an actor decides, I'm leaving this because the character sucks. Like if Steven Yeun was signed on and was like, I don't want to do this, then I would have felt way different about it.
Yeah. Like the first 2 iterations of Daredevil Born Again when John Bernthal almost left. So
yeah. But the idea of Steven Yeun, like they said they still want him as a part, that makes me,
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do for a solution, and that's my favorite part about the whole thing.
Yeah, same with like Captain America. I don't know how it's going to be resolved. So
Yeah. Yep. It's cool. It's awesome. It's a lot of excitement for the MCU, a lot of excitement for the DCU, and we have brought it all. We're gonna be doing reviews of the movies, breakdowns like we've always done with these shows. Speaking of which, we're going to be going to see Captain America. We will be releasing a review of that movie. And then we're going to see Superman when it comes out. We're going to see Thunderbolts, and we'll have reviews for those as well. And just a reminder, especially for those who've gotten this far, we're movies we will do our best to do spoiler free. But anything to do with shows or streaming, say with Daredevil that's coming out, we will not be doing spoiler free.
yeah,
The episodes come
episodic.
out a few days after the episode airs. Our episodes come out a few days after that. So with those, if you don't want to see spoilers, we do recommend skipping those until you've watched. But the movie reviews that come out, we do a fairly good job of avoiding spoilers or warning when the spoilers do come. I can't wait. I can't wait for Superman, Thunderbolts, Daredevil, Fantastic
Everything,
Four.
yeah.
It feels like a lot of excitement is being built from the fans.
It feels like superheroes are back, is what it feels like.
Definitely.
Like July is going to be crazy.
Which is nice considering a lot of the other things I like, the extra hobbies I'm interested in, like say sports or esports or anything like that. A lot of the things I like are terrible. The teams I root for are either don't exist anymore or they're missing all their shots.
Yeah. Just miss shots. They go 0 for 16 to start the game.
And yet the game after that was still a lower shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Anyway, we really appreciate you all coming by, and hope you drop a share, like, comment. Let us know what you think. How do you think they're going to stop Sentry is my big question. How will they stop Sentry with this group of ragtag nobodies? You all look great today. GG.
GG.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt.